He's the billionaire CEO of SpaceX and Tesla.
He plans to go to Mars, where he wants to establish a human colony.
He's the second richest person in the world with a net worth of $163.8 billion.
He's Elon Musk, and here's our take on his top 10 rules for success.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na 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 na. This one's for my top 10.
Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Question things.
Innovation comes from questioning the way things have been done before.
Yeah.
And if in the education system you're taught not to do that, that will inhibit entrepreneurship.
Being able to question what you're being taught. Being able to...
Yeah. I mean, just, saying, well, is there a better way?
Yeah.
To ask that question.
Rule number 2, make a difference.
The things that I've chosen have not been... I've not been trying to optimize on a risk-adjusted return basis. So there are, I would not say that I went into the rocket business, the car business, or the solar business thinking that it's a great opportunity. I just thought that something needed to be done in these industries in order to make a difference, and that's why I did it. So. But in general, I do think it's worth thinking about whether what you're doing is going to result in disruptive change or not. If it's just incremental, it's unlikely to be something major. It's got to be something that's substantially better than what's gone on before.
Rule number 3, don't reason by analogy.
If you want to do something really innovative, you have to apply a sort of first principles analysis, and don't reason by analogy. Analogies are referencing the past. First principles means you look at the most fundamental truths in a particular arena, and the things that really are almost indisputably correct, and you reason up from there to a conclusion. And if you see that conclusion is at odds with what people generally believe, then you have an opportunity. Now, you can't operate like that on all things because it takes too much mental horsepower. So most of your life you have to operate by reasoning by analogy. But if you really want to innovate, you must reason from first principles to identify the problem.
Rule number 4, create valuable output.
If the output is more valuable than the input, which is really, that's profit. Like the output's more valuable than the input. That says you have a useful company. But in a high growth scenario, you have a lot more inputs for future outputs, so that you have negative cash flow and lack of profitability, and which we currently have at Tesla. But in the long term, of course, that has to be fixed. There can't be negative cash flow in the long term, and that there needs to be a net positive output, which is sort of profits in the long term. But in the short term, when there's high growth, it isn't the most sensible thing.
Also, if you want to have more self-confidence and self-belief, check out my 254 series, where every day for the next 254 days, I will send you an unlisted video. The science says it takes up to 254 days of consecutive action to build a habit. So I'm going to be with you every step of the way. If you want to be on for free, 100% free, there's a link below. Go check it out. I'll see you there.
There are just times when something is important enough, you believe in it enough, that you do it in spite of the fear. If you have a great product, lots of people will buy it. And then the company will be successful. That ended up being worse than if we had designed a car from the beginning.
Rule number 5, expect difficulty.
I think it is definitely true that, maybe there are occasionally companies that get created where there's not an extended period of extreme pain. But I'm not aware of very many of such instances.
Yeah.
But I do think that new great entrepreneurs are born every day.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to see amazing companies get built. But I would definitely advise people who are starting a company to expect a long period of quite high difficulty.
Rule number 6, make learning interactive.
I think that the way that we currently do education is wrong, and when you see something like the Khan Academy and so forth, I think that's probably going in the right direction. I mean, generally you want education to be like as close to a video game as possible, like a good video game. Like, you do not need to tell your kid to play video games. They will play video games on autopilot all day. So if you can make it interactive and engaging, then you can make education far more compelling and far easier to do. So I think that's how it should be, and it shouldn't be that you've got like these grades where people move in lockstep, and so everyone goes through, goes like normally, we'll go through English, math, science, and so forth from like 5th grade to 6th grade to 7th grade, like it's an assembly line. But people are not objects on an assembly line. That's a ridiculous notion. People learn and are interested in different things at different paces. So you really want to disconnect the whole grade level thing from the subjects. Allow people to progress at the fastest pace that they can or are interested in each subject.
Rule number 7, combine aesthetic value with functionality.
You want to make something beautiful. I mean, you want to trigger whatever fundamental aesthetic algorithms are like in your brain. You have, I think, some intrinsic elements that represent beauty, and that trigger the emotion of appreciation of beauty in your mind. And I think that these are actually relatively consistent among people. I mean, not completely. Some people not everyone likes the same thing, but there's a lot of commonality, but I think it is important to combine aesthetic design with functionality. Like the thing that's like, if you say like what was really hard about say the Model S or the Model X was to combine aesthetics and utility. So to balance the two. You can make a car look very good by giving it sort of certain proportions, like making it sort of low and slim, but if you do that, the utility is significantly affected.
Rule number 8, don't deviate from the path.
How do you keep your focus on the big picture when you're constantly faced with, we could be out of business in a month?
Well, it's just a very small percentage of mental energy is on the big picture. Like you know where you're generally heading for, and the actual path is going to be some sort of zigzaggy thing in that direction. And try not to deviate too far from the path that you want to be on, but you're going to have to do that to some degree. But I don't want to diminish the. I mean, I think the profit motive is a good one if the rules of an industry are properly set up. So there's nothing fundamentally wrong with profit. In fact, profit just means that people are paying you more for whatever you're doing than you're spending to create it. That's a good thing. and if that's not the case, then you'll be out of business, and rightfully so. Because you're not adding enough value.
Rule number 9, analyze probable outcomes.
And just in general, critical thinking is good. Examining whether you have the correct axioms, are the most applicable axioms, does the logic necessarily connect, and then what are the range of probable outcomes? Outcomes are usually not deterministic; they're a range, and so you want to figure out what those probabilities are, and make sure, ideally, that you're the house. It's fine to take. It's fine to gamble so long as you're the house.
Yes.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have fun.
You celebrated your 30th birthday with a masked ball in Venice. 40th birthday, I was told you had a fight with a samurai sword fighter. What is your plan for your 50th birthday next year?
Well, so my 40th birthday was in Venice. It was technically a post-apocalyptic masked ball. Because after the apocalypse, how much clothing do you really have? It's probably going to be a little ragged, a little burnt.
No plans for the 50th?
Yeah, 50th. The half-century party. I'll have to think of something. Usually go with some kind of crazy theme. The party where I ended up wrestling with the world champion sumo wrestler, which by the way also caused me to burst a disc in my neck. So 5 minutes of glory for 5 years of pain. That really hurt. So that party was Victorian Japanese steampunk. So that was cool. I have to think of something for the half-century party.
You have a little time to think.
Hey, being on Earth for a half-century, that's like, hey, I'm still alive. Wow, cool.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you watch a video and you get motivated, the science says you have a 35% chance of following through. That's not enough. But when you write down what time, what place, and how you're going to actually take action on it, you jump to 91% chance of following through. And when you have public accountability and you commit to other people that you're going to do it, it jumps to 95% that you will follow through. So I want that for you, Believe Nation. I want to know your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. Put it down in the comments below so I can celebrate you.
I mean, as long as people stay super focused on creating the absolute best product or service that really delights their end customer, if they stay focused on that, then if you get it such that your customers want you to succeed, then you probably will.
If you want 10 more amazing rules from Elon Musk, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
We should take a moment to appreciate these little things, the big things, the things that move your heart. I think that's probably the meaning of life, as close a definition as I can think.